Welcome to the Unity Community 2020, where our focus is to provide physical, mental, spiritual info and positive vibes to help you endure and adapt. We'll be bringing you experts to provide strategies to handle stress and boost your immunity. Hello out there in digital land. Welcome to the Immunity Community 2020. So today, my guest that I have with us is Jordan Paris. And yes, there is a coincidence that our names are the same. This is my nephew, my oldest brother's first kid. And he is a pretty accomplished and amazing young dude. At 22 years old, he has two different podcasts, very, very well-known podcasts, as well as an author of two books and a digital marketing agency, all before leaving school. So Jordan, can you tell me and tell the audience a little bit about, I know a lot about you, obviously. If you can tell our audience, really, you know what, even before that, I want to talk about the relevance of this. Why do I have this young kid who's looking sharp on the other side of the camera talking about digital stuff out there? And really, what is the relevance here? Our world has been turned sideways, upside down, twisted around as far as the economy is concerned, as far as people's jobs are concerned. And before this event even happened, you already have momentum building in this career as a digital agent, right? So I wanted to be able to provide to our guests and people watching now what life may look like on the internet after, and what different careers, because people are going to start working from home. So if you can first tell us a little bit about all of your accomplishments and the things that you have.
I got permission to talk about that stuff. Okay.
A little bit, yeah. I'm going to cut you off when it's done.
I know. Yeah. Well, thank you, Brian.
Yes.
Well, I have fun with it. I interview on my main podcast called Growth Mindset University. I interview my heroes, people like, you know Mark Manson, author of Subtle Art. I don't even need to say the rest. Ryan Serhant of $1 Million Listing, this book right here. This is one of his books. It's not the best example to show, but this is called The Art of Seduction. Robert Greene. I'm talking to him in a couple of days. 48 Laws of Power.
Yep.
Laws of Human Nature. I just finished that 600-page mammoth of a book. Pretty much, a lot. The majority of people are going to know a lot of the guests that I have on my show. I interview my heroes, authors of books I read, products I use, services I use, like Acorns, that investing app. Walter Cruttenden is the co-founder of that company. And, I'm interviewing him a little bit later. Just so that's what I do there. And then, producing podcasts for people at trendup.media is the website.
So it's a business that you actually started in college.
Yeah, because people were asking me with Growth Mindset University, starting about a little over a year ago, all about my podcast and all the hows with my podcast. And, because I was starting to gain some serious momentum. And so I was just getting these questions in my inbox on LinkedIn all day. So I was like, all right, the demand was there organically. So I was like, all right, I got to create something that creates real business value for me around this problem that people are coming to me with.
And what about, tell me about LinkedIn, or tell the audience and us about LinkedIn.
Yeah, I was just teaching a class about this a couple hours ago. Yeah.
Awesome.
Via Zoom, of course. And LinkedIn, it's really valuable for me because the discoverability is so high, right? Like Instagram doesn't really work for you and I too well, Brian, unless we have built-in audiences, or if we are really hot women showing up in the Explore tab. It's just not going. We just don't have the momentum on LinkedIn, and you have 2,000 followers like I do, and maybe half of them are seeing your posts, and there's just not much business value going on Instagram as far as I can see right now. On LinkedIn, it's very different. I think the content is more of an intimate experience. You really get to know people a lot more, interact with people on a more meaningful level. And when you comment on my post, it says, Dr. Brian Paris commented on this, and then my post shows up below in the feeds of people who follow you. So with and it started out with 1, 2, 3 comments, but now with hundreds of comments and hundreds of likes on my posts, it's just every single day, like I get more and more followers. I'm at like 38,500, and I've never had a day where I've gotten 1,000 or 2,000. I don't even know if I had a day where I've gotten like 600. It's just 50 to 100 every single day for
That's
like
awesome,
over a year. Just this slow rolling game where I've just got this momentum. It just keeps on going.
great. And so I want to take a little pivot here because I want to focus on really the relevance for this conversation with our audience, the people that are watching us now. So you're a generation, I don't even know, a generation and a half below me, and a lot of people that I communicate with are either my age or older, and quite frankly, terrified of doing business on the internet. I've had to engage myself with people like you and some other people that we know to teach me and learn very, very quickly how to navigate this world. So can you talk about some of the things that you've done, leading up to where you are now, having a digital marketing agency and, teaching classes through Zoom? These are very foreign concepts to a lot of people that are generations above you. And things are going to shift because people are like, okay, I need a side hustle. I'm going to work from home because my job got shut down or I'm furloughed. So can you share with me and the audience, like what are some of the things that you've done, or some quick tips or things that you can teach us rookies?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I kind of begin with the end in mind. Like, what do I want to do? What do I want to get here? And again, I use LinkedIn as my all powerful tool. If I want to be featured in Forbes, and I'll get to business value in a second, but if I want to be featured in Forbes, I just search Forbes contributor on LinkedIn in the search and connect with all these hundreds of Forbes contributors. I did that 2 years ago, and bam, okay, featured in Forbes, done. I wanted to get a TED Talk, so what did I do? I looked up TEDx Curator and TEDx Organizer, connected with hundreds of
I'm going to
these
slow
organizers.
you down on that one, because I want to even review that before you go forward, because that's an awesome concept. So basically you're saying you wanted to be in Forbes magazine.
Yeah.
And you said Forbes contributors. Did you Google that? Did you
No,
put that in LinkedIn?
No. LinkedIn search.
Okay.
Enter.
Awesome. And then so
people.
You found a whole bunch of people in Forbes. And then
everyone who writes for Forbes, I'm connected with them.
Awesome.
Not everyone, but hundreds. And I just so happen to, or very organically, develop a good relationship with a few of them, and one of them, just I didn't ask, just featured me in there, approached me with it. TEDx Talk, I wanted to do that, so I looked up TEDx Organizer, connect with all of them, just very organically happened to form a relationship with one of these organizers, and now he's like a pretty good friend at this point. And bam, when the applications came out for the next year, he's like, I want you to apply. I knew what that meant. I got the talk. And let's say, I want, entrepreneur.com, same thing. I was interviewed on an entrepreneur.com podcast, one of their 4, 5, 6 podcasts, one of this network of podcasts they have. I was featured on there, and that starts from 2 years ago, connecting with entrepreneur.com contributors via the LinkedIn search tab. I didn't even know I was connected with this guy, and he just messaged you. I've connected with all these people years ago, and I never know who's watching. I just wanted to be connected with professional athletes. I would look up professional athletes. So all these NFL players and NBA players have reached out to me over the years, because years ago, I just connected with hundreds, maybe even over 1,000 of them. And I have some friends that are professional athletes. It's pretty cool. And for real business value, okay, who are my customers? Who takes my courses? Who enrolls in my courses? Well, podcasters. So I look up podcast host. Some of them are just, they're not the best podcasts. I don't need to say more. But some of them, they got the cash to spend, and they have a legit podcast, or they have the cash to spend and they want a legit podcast. They want to go to the next level. So I look up podcast host, I look up podcaster, all the time. And I just connect with I have well over 1,000 people following me that are podcasters, and
so what
great.
what do you think? Because you said you were talking about a good podcast, podcast, and how about your journey? Like what makes a good podcaster? Because there's a million of them out there, and certain ones I'll click on and I can't even follow them.
Sure,
the ones I'm attached to.
And this is relevant because people have so much time on their hands now, and what better thing to do than to start a podcast just for the heck of it, even if it's just talking with your friends. I think it's a great idea. See where it goes, and learn to enjoy it. It'll be fun. And so, what makes a good podcast? Well, I would say being unabashedly you, not trying to be it's a joke. I've been on shows where I've been interviewed over 50 times in the past year, and I've seen it all. One of the worst ones that I was ever on was in the pre-show. It's these two co-hosts. One of them said, "It's a Joe Rogan kind of show," and I kind of like, that was my first like red flag, and kind of knew from there what it was going to be. And I look at the reviews afterwards, after my experience with them. I look at the reviews and they're all like, dude, these podcasts could be 15 minutes, not an hour and 15 minutes. Like these guys think they're like personalities, and they're not. You can't be Joe Rogan if you're not Joe Rogan. You can't be Lewis Howes if you're not Lewis Howes. You can't be like, you can't just try and imitate these people. These people have their own styles because that's what makes them comfortable in their chairs, and which then in turn makes the guest most comfortable in their chair.
And did you find in the beginning when you started this, you were imitating people versus being
yeah, for sure. Yeah. And now I'm just unabashedly me. Like, I don't give a fuck. Sorry. And that's part of me too. Like, I don't really care, man. It's a subtle art of not giving it. You know what? Yeah. Yes. I just don't. I really don't.
That's a plug for Mark Manson.
Yeah.
Yes, excellent. I want to talk to you about rejection.
I know about it
because I want to know like what goes on inside, and this is really the meat and potatoes here, right? Like, so you put all these letters out, you write, to Forbes, to Entrepreneur, and you've had some really big wins where you get on these podcasts. But let's talk about the rejections. Let's talk about what it creates inside, like what boils your blood that keeps you going, because you're obviously, I've seen your drive and it's impressive, man. So, and I'm not just going to blame that on our family genetics. I'm going to say that you have something inside you that keeps you going regardless of the no.
Appreciate that.
What is it inside, man?
So for the type of rejection that I am going to speak to here is when I say reach out to a really famous person to be on my podcast that I look up to, right? Because I've never asked to be on a podcast, never, ever, right? Like I don't do that. I've never asked to be featured in in a publication. Like I don't really do that. So the rejection that I'm most familiar with is when I reach out to guests. And obviously I've seen amazing success in that area, but not everyone's gonna say yes, even if you got the coolest podcast in the world. Just sometimes it doesn't work out. They're not, in a good place. You never know. And the way I look at it, Robert Greene, man, I've been on this chase for probably since the middle of October. What's it now? It's almost April. Like, what has that been? 5 months, 6 months, something like, I'll just say 6 months. It's been half a year that we've been trying to get this podcast on the books. I got maybes. I got yeses. Like, oh, we could do it. How about beginning of November? I got, oh, Robert's not, now he's feeling distracted with all these podcast interviews. He's got to write his next book. I got all the, I got the polite declines. But I just kept keeping in contact, keeping the relationship, keeping in touch with this, with his assistant here that's in charge of getting me on the books. And so even though Robert's not doing any other podcasts right now, I got him on the books for Friday. So
awesome, man.
Like at 6 p.m. Eastern time. So
but I'm going to try
and so how do I treat the rejection? Like, okay, I I get a no, or I get no reply. I'm one, it's going to take 20 times to get this person. Now I'm one time closer. Now only 19 more times I got to reach out.
Have
Next
you actually
time,
calculated?
no.
The amount of times you got to contact somebody, or
I mean,
you're
with
just
Robert Greene, it was probably like 30 times. Yeah.
awesome, and you
Yeah.
were just persistent.
Yeah.
That's amazing, man. So and
it's a victory when you get rejected in this sense. For me, it's like, like I said, I'm closer.
So you use the rejection as fire, and it stokes your fire on the inside to keep going.
Sure.
Has there ever been an opportunity where, or an experience where you get rejected and you quit?
I mean, obviously not with the podcast. I mean, okay, so yeah, I don't know that anything really comes to mind. I think that something that I need to work on is with, when I'm rejected by a woman, and as we talked about so many times.
This is a whole different topic. I was purposely staying away from this, but
sure,
go. Yeah,
sure.
Go ahead.
Share
with our audience.
I tend to like withdraw and go closer into myself, and not and just stop putting myself out there. So I really need to adopt, the same thing with, the same attitude I have with my, my podcast. Oh, I got, this person broke up with me. Oh, like it's only, I'm one person closer now to like finding that person. And it's easy for me to sit here and say, but I've still not adopted that over.
Well, yeah, you're so young, dude. You have a long journey ahead of you. So just keep plugging away. So I want to dive into like really what does it take to navigate, not from a perspective, because I want to put this towards the end, but not from a perspective of what do people need to do, but really who were you as a person, right? Because I've read your story. I've known you since before you were born, which is pretty cool. But I want to hear it from you and share it with our audience here, because that's the juice of this. Like, who were you and who did you have to become to get over the hurdle to achieve what you've achieved? And it's just the beginning.
Sure. I think it's what you've often said. I was a wallflower, right? I was very shy, unconfident, awkward. I'm still a recovering awkward person, as Vanessa Van Edwards would say. And it's taken like real action and real results to like in me increasing my competence, as many would say, to over time increase my confidence. Now I think, and you've said this, Steve has said this, so many people that have said this to me over the past 3-4 years. It's like there's something in the way that I carry myself that, and it sounds weird for it to come from me and not a third party, in the sense like I've never really verbalized this myself. I'm just reiterating what other people have told me, but there's just something in the way I carry myself that shows this confidence that like I don't even know how to explain it. But yeah, just wallflower to whatever the opposite of a wallflower is now. I'm not really afraid of too much.
You're a blossomed wallflower. You're evolved, or you're evolving on an everyday basis.
I'm not really that shy anymore. I can kind of say anything at any, like I don't really think twice about it.
Do you ever find yourself reverting back to that space, or do you feel like you've transformed and you're a new version of yourself?
I feel like I'm pretty transformed. Yeah.
Awesome, man. That's good. That must feel good on the inside. Right?
Yeah. And it's like real. And like I said, it's just the results in, life that have really allowed me to express myself in this manner. Awesome. If I never did anything, meaningful with my life, I mean, I might just be the same person.
Right on, man. So let's pivot again. So talk about, if you can share a little bit about expression and using the digital world as your canvas. So I want to share with the audience a little bit more, and you can get into some of the tactics here a little bit. And obviously, there's your books and your podcast and,
Sure.
and your agency that they can all enlist to figure this out. But I want to create a path for people who need to create new careers and are stressed as heck right now, figuring out what am I going to do with my job. So if you can, expand a little bit about, like expression and the digital canvas, so to speak.
Yeah. So I'll actually do a screen share with you right now. I'm gonna go.
For those of you watching, I'm so excited that he's handling the tech side of this for me right now.
So this is a piece of content that I am creating right now that I'm gonna post on LinkedIn this week. You can see this, Brian.
Yeah.
So 12 songs to listen to when you feel down. Now this, like that title alone, and the songs I'm about to share, like that involves a little bit of vulnerability. I think, because especially for me, it was like I used to be very like protective and like private about like what the type of music that I listen to. Like people, I would think people would judge me on that. And now here I am sharing it, and what I'm going to do here. See, and look at this design. I think is a big part of it, and experimenting with different pieces of content. This is going to be a LinkedIn document.
Awesome.
I only started posting LinkedIn documents yesterday, and now, and with great results, because I'd seen a little slump in the engagement of my content on LinkedIn, and I saw a great boost yesterday when I posted a document. So I was like, all right, I'm going to keep going with this. I experimented. That experiment was a winner, and I'm going to keep going. You experiment with selfie videos, you experiment with audiogram videos that you create with www.headliner.app. You experiment with written posts. You experiment with quote cards, quote images. You experiment with documents here, and you see what works and what doesn't. And the design here, something I'm pretty proud of. And so here's the first song. Listen to the music, the Doobie Brothers. You know that song, man? That's good.
Yeah. It's probably for your dad.
Probably. That's a good song. And under this, I'm not done yet. Under this, under the title and the artist, I think I'm going to write in a little explanation to really connect with people further. I'm going to write, how I interpret the meaning of the song, and maybe some of my favorite lyrics.
How about how the song makes you feel?
How the song makes you feel.
What feelings are engendered by listening to that music? That's awesome.
Right. I was thinking that was an idea I had here. Like getting creative. I color coded like the emotions here, and I was thinking of putting it, with the color code like under these, these songs.
Awesome.
So like I don't know anyone that's put out a piece of content like this. Yesterday, and now I think yesterday I put out a document. This is a little bit less original. I think people have done things. By the way, social proof here, 99 plus. All right.
No ego stroke there.
None. But I put out yesterday, going crazy while staying indoors. Here are 15 things to do while quarantined.
Great.
Oh, here's number 1. Where did I get that idea?
Yes, we've been doing that, and this is great for you guys out there. My whole family is around the country, and we've been getting on FaceTime at 8 o'clock every night, and I just learned the little app where I could turn my face into a giraffe, which was hysterical.
And now what am I doing here? Like, I'm almost using this. This is like a journal, a digital journal for myself. All these here are like digital journals, especially, this. Like yesterday, this is like a note to self. That's what this is. And I think, and my Twitter, they're all notes to self. That's what they are. And so I think people really appreciate and connect with that. Like it's relatable. Yeah. And this,
awesome.
like this just really helped me, fleshing out all these ideas, 1 to 15 that I just didn't have, organized in my head before I listed them out, like really helped me.
Wonderful. Well, I want to wrap us up here, and dude, thank you so much for, most importantly, like your vulnerability, because that was back in the middle of what we were talking about. I really appreciate you opening up and sharing feelings inside and just being real with me and the audience as well. And you also provided some amazing information packed full of tips to keep you from going crazy while we're quarantined, and also things to do for a future career. And to finish us off here, I'm wondering if you can come up with a way to, perhaps engage the audience and help them, maybe challenge my audience, and because I'm sure we're connecting with similar people now, but like, what can you put out there to request or challenge our listeners right now to help their expression and on their digital canvas? And you don't even have to answer.
Well, if you're, I don't know, I think there's just something to keep in mind, like false vulnerability. Just being vulnerable just to be vulnerable because it's a buzzword, and you think it's going to get a bunch of likes. It's not really the way to do it. Way to do it is like I don't know. I enjoy it. I enjoy the content I create, and sometimes it just happens to be vulnerable. And sometimes I'm like, oh, should I share that? Yeah.
All right. So
no, it's hard to say.
Listeners and viewers right out there, you heard it from Jordan. You're also hearing it from me. So what can you do to be vulnerable and truly authentic on your digital canvas and versus faking it? That sound like a good challenge?
Yeah. And not speaking to, I see so many people speaking like they've, been there, done that. And even if you have been there, done that, don't be like, before I was success. I could go to people's profiles right now and point out specific people that do this every day. Never appear. It's a law of the laws of, not the laws, 48 laws of power. Never appear too perfect.
I like that.
And I think that's very important to consider.
One of my mentors used to use the term near perfect, because once you get perfect, perfect apple is only getting rotten. So near perfect. All right, man. So audience out there you have it. My nephew and one of my close friends at this point of life, which has just been awesome. I appreciate you, and jordanparis.com, and we'll put all the links and everything in there if anyone wants to learn more information, and he's certainly on LinkedIn. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Brian.
All right, man. Welcome to the Immunity Community 2020, where our focus is to provide physical, mental, spiritual info and positive vibes to help you endure and adapt. We'll be bringing you experts to provide strategies to handle stress and boost your immunity. Hello out there in digital land. Welcome to the Immunity Community 2020. So today, my guest that I have with us is Jordan Paris. And yes, there is a coincidence that our names are the same. This is my nephew, my oldest brother's first kid. And he is a pretty accomplished and amazing young dude. At 22 years old, he has 2 different podcasts, very, very well-known podcasts, as well as an author of 2 books and a digital marketing agency, all before leaving school. So Jordan, can you tell me and tell the audience a little bit about, I know a lot about you, obviously. If you can tell our audience, really, you know what, even before that, I want to talk about the relevance.